supposed to be on video now. Have a look at that. Ooh, getting close. Getting close. I think Facebook's, mate, we are live. Woo-hoo! How's everyone's week been? Flat out like a lizard drinking. We have, crikey, been really flat out, which is excellent. But listen, if you're, welcome to our, hi Fiona, welcome to our Sunday afternoon live. I was going to boycott it today just because I was doing heaps of stuff this afternoon, but I thought we've got a handful of questions up here, so I'm going to keep it short and sharp today. So make sure if you've got any questions, bung them up there on the screen, and I'll endeavour to answer those as we cruise along. Hey, I had it's funny, I called into one of my, quick story while you get yourself organised. The other day there, I called into one of my hardware shops, and one of the guys, he's a fanatic of, he finds movie stars or rock stars or whatever, and he tries to match them up with people. And anyway, I called into the shop there, Josh his name is, and he said, hey Rick, check this out. And he got his computer screen and he turned it around, and I go, whoa, when did you take that photo? I thought, it said I thought it was me. But as it turned out, it was Toby Keith, the famous cowboy and western singer, you know. But I've got to show you this. Check this out. You ready? You ready? I'll take my glasses off. Check this. Check it. I reckon I look more like Toby Keith than Toby Keith. But I just don't have his money. So there you go. So, hey, listen, if you reckon you look like any rock stars or someone famous, build them through to us, and we might bung them up next week on our Sunday live. And I thought that was such a classic, eh? So anyway, yes, I don't have Toby's cash, but we're working on it. Yes, I hope everyone had a great week. Remember, if you've got any questions, make sure you bung them up there on the screens. And, oh, hey, Dad, we love you. Who's that, Reed? Oh, that'll be Reed by the river. That might be Tanika. Hey, Tanika, how you going, darling? Haven't seen you for years. She's over at Lord Howe with the husband and the three of the grandkids over there at the moment. They had a bit of a tsunami there the other day. They get Ash is doing teaching over there in Lord Howe. And anyway, they got the big earthquake that went on. They had they get the alarms are going off and all sorts of stuff. So they took off to the high ground, and she was sending the stuff, the videos through as it was all happening, and the ocean sort of sucking out like this, and then we're waiting for the big tidal wave to come through, but as it turned out, it was a bit of a ripple. So, but anyway, better to be safe than sorry. So anyway, I've got a couple of questions here. I'll start smashing into these. Like I said, if you've got any questions, make sure you bung them up on the screen, eh? Number one, do you need a special license to tow a tiny home? Well, the answer to that is not a special license. You do need a medium rigid license. Now, a light rigid won't do it because it'll be too light. Tiny homes are 4.5 tonne, and with a light rigid, I think the GVM on that's only about, on the licence is only about 8 tonnes. So because obviously with the tiny home and the truck, you're obviously well over 8 tonnes. So what you will need is to get a medium rigid licence, okay? So then you can either hire a truck or get a lender for a mate, and then you can actually tow your tiny homes yourself. So it will be cheaper if you do it yourself. I mean, obviously, we've had a few inquiries from around if it is possible or feasible for them to tow their own tinies. And yes, you can do it, but we will make sure that firstly you've got the right licence and that you've got some form of experience because, g'day Chris, how you going, mate? The thing with tiny homes, they're wider, or especially our homes anyway, because we come under the category of oversized load. So our load with gutters and awnings and decks and that, you know, we're racking up about 3.4 metres wide. Now, a standard truck is only 2.4. So you're another 500 mil either side of the truck. So, you know, you're right out there. So it does take a little bit of experience because as you're driving, towing our homes, you're actually line to line. So you see the lines on the big freeways, line to line, you're basically the outside of the tiny home to outside of the tiny home, there's no room to move. Like you literally got inches either way. So as you're driving, you're constantly keep an eye on the rearview mirrors. Julianne, who do you use to tow? In actual fact, Havenwood, we do all our own deliveries in-house ourselves, but there's some great companies out there. Rick's Towing, Rick and his wife, Kerry, met them down at the Geelong show. Lovely people, know their stuff. They've got one of them mogs, and they can they tow all around Australia. So they're fantastic. But I've got my new my new, what do you call it, Hino coming shortly, just getting the tray put on the back, so it's going to be a lot more comfortable. It's actually a four-wheel drive truck. So what that'll mean is we won't, if you've got to go cross country on your property and stuff like that, we'll actually be able to do that with our truck and do the full delivery right through to the actual delivery place in Ellos. It's feasible, of course. We can't go up 45-degree hills, but what it'll mean is will put us in a better position. We won't need people to organise tractors or local farmers with tractors and stuff like that. So looking forward to getting the new wheels, and I know Grills is looking forward to it as well. He does me long hauls. We haven't had to do any long hauls recently, although in saying that, we've got a couple coming up down to Victoria and down to South Australia as well. So then, of course, we've got the show up there in the expo there with Faye and Lance. Oh, it's not... we can't go to the Toowoomba one because I've got a big weekend prior, that weekend actually, so I can't get up for that one. But, what's the other show? Where's that suburb? If anyone can think of the suburb up there in Queensland for Faye and Lance, the Tiny Home Expo, I've forgotten the suburb now. Cleveland, that's it, Cleveland. Cleveland Tiny House Expo, that's looking forward to getting up there later in the year, which would be fantastic. So Rick's towing, and of course once we get our rig on the road, we are going to offer that as well, so we can actually tow your tiny homes. It won't be just Havenwood tiny homes. We'll be, thank you Fiona, yeah, but it is Cleveland. If you're looking at you're strapped to find someone to tow your tiny homes, we will be farming our truck out as well. So if you need the deliveries, you can't get onto someone to deliver your tiny homes, we'll be actually offering that service as well. So you've got an existing home, we need to pick it up from your manufacturer or whatever. So we'll have that rig on the road and be able to do deliveries for other companies, not just our own company. So, but yeah, the new Hino, it's actually four-wheel drive, but I think they redline around about 90k an hour. So I probably won't be going as quick as my other truck, but because it's four-wheel drive, it's probably lower geared and that sort of thing. So, but yeah, looking forward to be a lot more comfortable than my existing truck. Can we choose extra cabinetry in our tiny home? Well, the answer to that question is yes. Now, with our homes, we actually provide, as part of the actual package, the appropriate size cabinetry to suit the load, also the weight of 4.5 tonne. So what we provide on our in our architectural and in our tiny homes is the appropriate amount of cabinetry to actually rack up the right weight around that 4.5 tonne mark. Now, of course, if you start going extra cabinetry, what that's going to do is push us over our weight limit, which there's a couple of cases it may mean that we need to take stuff off the tiny home for delivery, like for instance deck and awnings and all that sort of stuff. So taking those off the actual tiny home, which means then it's got to be a two-man delivery, you know. Julianne, you don't want to go over 90 k's, too many things go wrong downhill, yeah. Well, in actual fact, Julianne, our homes sit pretty at 100, 110k an hour. The balance, the weight is just, well, I'm loving it. It's so easy to tow. In actual fact, if I had a more powerful truck, I wouldn't even know the tiny home was on the back. You know, there's a lot of wind drag, like our home, like every other tiny home. You've got a big box, you know, hunting along the road there. So it is going to slow you down a bit with the wind drag and that sort of thing, you know. So you're just tapping back to the cabinetry. So what that'll mean is if we choose or you choose extra cabinetry in our tiny homes, what that'll mean is we've got to pull stuff off the tiny home if it's overweight. I'll still get the mobile scales in, a weighbridge guy in to check the weights. If it runs over and we've got to take some heavy duty stuff out of it, it will mean that it'll be a two-man delivery and we will have to charge for that extra man in the delivery, unless you can organise someone at the back end, some decent carpenters or whatever at the back end, to help us to reinstall the gear that we've had to pull out of the tiny home to get it there safe and sound. You seem like the only company building on aluminium trailers. Why is that? Well, in actual fact, I switched over I went from steel trailers over to aluminium trailers. Gosh, that'd be 2.5, 3 years ago now. I met Chris from Exclusive Trailers out at the St Ives Tiny House Carnival or something that was out there. That was it was incredible. It was great to meet Chris out there, and he basically did the big sell on me why aluminium was better. And one of the big things, especially for our homes, because as you know, we build 3 metre wide homes. They're 4.6 high, 7.2, 8.2, 9.2 long. These things are huge. These are like granny flats on wheels. They're massive homes. So what that means is I've got to save weight somewhere. And one of the big ticket items to save a lot of weight comes to the trailer. So I actually, when I work out the tear weight of the trailer, steel versus aluminium, I'm saving about half a tonne. Now that's a lot of cabinetry, and that's a lot bigger home that I can build because I've actually just saved half a tonne of weight. Now, of course, there's pros and cons, of course, and the con is that it's more expensive. So because we started off reasonably early in the piece with the aluminium trailers, we were actually able to absorb the extra cost into our overall pricing structure. So which means even though we've got aluminium trailers and a lot lighter, stronger, last a lifetime, but we're able to still get our homes for the comparative size homes with other companies still competitive in our price range, which is awesome. And because I want to obviously stay competitive. I'm not saying we're cheap. What I'm saying is we offer great value for money. As you're aware, our homes are 3 metres wide and 4.6 high, which means in most cases you can stand up upstairs. We've actually just done one for a client that's, it's not finished yet, but under construction, 1.85 metres. So that was our instruction. We need because he's a tall chap, 6.5 foot, so 6'2", 6'2". So we've actually got, and now it's finished, the structure's done. We've got a 1.848 centimetres, so it's like I'm about 3 mil short, but I'm sure we can get away with that, But it's so we can go higher than 6 foot. It's a bit of roof structure modifications and stuff like that, but ultimately it is achievable. So which means we get the higher ceiling heights in our upstairs loft, which is I'm surprised how many tall people want to start living in tiny homes. It's incredible, So okay, can you do some more walkthrough videos? Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, as you know, we've got our display village a good half an hour away from where I am, and Sunday nights I just want to hang around home. I'm done. So we might pre-record a few walkthroughs during the week. So then say even early as next Sunday live, we can actually bung up the pre-recorded videos of the walkthroughs. We want to. There's a couple I want to get out before they get delivered. The Charlo. 3 better Charlo, that was a winner out at the expo, at the local, at Hawkesbury Expo, and also the Elliott too. So we're racking them. They're probably our 2 most popular models at the moment. They're just coming through in droves. So really loving that. I think it's out. Both homes are actually well outside the square, and the Charlo suits the bigger family, 6 people, 4 kids, no problem at all. They're big bedrooms too. They're queen size bedrooms. And of course, then we've got double bunks up one end. So we might do the Charlo walkthrough for next Sunday's live. That'll be pre-recorded. So if we don't answer your questions, that's because it's pre-recorded. Good on you, Rico. Okay, number 5. I saw a tiny house getting delivered on a low loader. Why would that be? Well, I guess a couple of reasons. They've either finished a home and it's come in well above weight. Which means they can't tow it on the road legally. They're obviously well and truly above the 4.5 tonne mark, which means they would get smashed going through a weighbridge. And it's probably one reason. I suppose in most cases, homes are a one-off delivery. So they go somewhere, that's where they're going to live. They've done it the way they've done it, so it still comes under the category of a caravan. So it complies with the local council regulations, which the definition of a caravan is a relocatable home on a registerable trailer. So at the end of the day, they've achieved that. It's not done on weight. Council don't care about that. So that's probably one of the main reasons I could probably think of. Width doesn't matter. They could have just put the oversized signs on. So it does sort of put you in a bit of a hot spot, though, if you do need to relocate it again. Of course, you got to get a crane to get it off. So there's a bit of, I would imagine it probably adds to the delivery cost quite a lot, versus just being able to hook it up and towing your caravan. But hey, it works, and it's just another way of doing it. So no problem at all. Number 6, do you deliver to Western Australia? We've had a few calls about this out of Western Australia. I've done some quick sums to give you an idea to Perth. We're probably hovering around about $21,000. So for delivery all the way to Perth, because obviously we've got to get back again as well, so it's $2.80 per kilometre each way. I've done some sums on sending it around via ferry, so to leave from the Sydney Wharfs, Botany, and go all the way right around Australia and land somewhere, I suppose, at Perth terminals over there. It's probably around about 11 or 12 grand to actually do it via sea freight. So it'll work out cheaper to do it via that. But hey, if you're running with one of our larger homes, it's definitely an expense that you've only got to pay it once. Once you've got it there, you're good to go. You know, so that's one of the big things. I've said that I've said to people quite frequently is, when you buy a tiny home, there's a couple of reasons you buy. Like when you buy the home, you buy on price or you buy on cost. Well, the price you've actually only got to pay for once. So if whichever company you're talking to, whichever company you're going to run with, get all your bells and whistles, everything you want. But the cost, if you don't get what you want, that cost you're going to live with forever. So you better spend a few extra bucks up front, because bear in mind, these are affordable housing. 120, 180, whatever the cost is, but it's still, you can't even build a granny flat for 180 grand. Come on. I mean, time you put all your council fees and if you can find a builder, So, question here from Emma Tom. Can you have a tiny home built on an unregistered trailer and move it with a day permit? Of course you can. Actually, the only thing they will ask for, when you go for a permit, they ask for your VIN number, which means it is registerable, which means it's roadworthy. So if it's unregistered, it probably originally had a VIN number on it. It doesn't matter that that's lapsed. We actually, all of our tiny homes now, we actually don't register them anymore just to save the client costs. So the trailers are all roadworthy, registered, they're all engineered, and they'll have a VIN number on it. So when you actually apply for your permit to actually move your tiny home, they will, one of the things they ask is the VIN number for that trailer. They'll go through on their records, they'll see that trailer was registered once, or has been engineered and it is roadworthy, so which means you can tow it. So it's just means you get from A to B, and the permit's only $30, like costs you nothing to do a permit. So versus if you try to get it re-registered every year, it's going to cost you $1,000, $1,200, probably plus a slab of beer too, because you've got to get the mechanic to come out to your place and check all the lights and the VIN number and stuff. So, my call is, I get this question quite frequently, what do I reckon about getting them re-registered each year? My call is, don't worry about it, save your money. And if you ever do need to relocate or to move it, just go and get a permit. Really easy. Take you 20 minutes at the RMS, no problem at all. Does Havenwood do flat packs? Well, we haven't actually done any flat packs. I guess we could entertain it. We do probably our breakdown in our incomplete homes would be to go for to do our shell model, which is basically the full locked up watertight shell that is basically waterproof and structurally sound. It'll have your internal walls, it'll have your mezzanines done, it'll just have the door cut out with your main entry door. Other than that, no windows cut out, no nothing. So then you can actually go through. It's really good actually, because what it means is you can actually go through your shell and basically draw on the walls where you want your windows. Check your view out, where's going to be the best view, sun orientation, the solar egress and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's a great way to go, because as you're aware, we build our homes from a refrigeration panel, which means then it's already insulated, it's already got the internal lining. Effectively, you could live in our tiny homes in a shell. You'd have to have a camp oven or something, but and a shower outside. But hey, but at least it's nice and tidy done. So that's one way we'll sell them, as a shell model. And then of course you go for then your lock-up, which is all the external cladding finish, your windows installed, your electrical roughing done. So that's all done and dusted. So it's effectively then the internal. Obviously we have our underfloor insulation, our 15mm ply flooring, then ready for the owner then to put down their flooring, paint the tiny home. What else we got? Install kitchens, fit off the electrical, fit out the bathroom, and all of our homes, all of our plumbing, actually the homes with the way we build, the plumbing gets done at the end. There's no plumbing rough-in during construction. All of our plumbing gets done at the completion of construction. So the rough-in and fit-off, all done at the end. So if you get our lock-up model, no plumbing will be done on the tiny home. It's ready to go, you know. So number 8, we haven't seen any delivery shots for a while. I got about 15, actually Stu told me the other day, what was it, 13 or 14 homes waiting for kitchens right now. Our kitchen company a little bit behind, although they have committed to now giving us one kitchen per week, which is not keeping up with demand still, but it's closer than what it was. But in saying that, we're still 15 kitchens behind. So bit of a bummer. So we'll see how we go. If I can they're starting to come in now. There was a bit of a backlog there. They had some internal strife going on with staff and the virus and all sorts of stuff going on. So they've definitely dropped behind, which puts us behind because we can't go anywhere until we've got a kitchen. But anyway, we're starting to get back on track, and hopefully shortly we'll be able to bring everyone up to speed. And once we get rid of all the backlog, or get rid of that doesn't sound very nice. So once we complete all the backlog homes that are waiting for kitchens, like I said, there's about 15 there. I'll be probably doing 2 and 3 deliveries a week shortly, so I'll be flat out. But anyway, and Grillsy, and but yeah, once we get rid of that, then we'll get back on deck, and then that'll fast track our actual overall completion date for our tiny homes. Okay, last question here today. Can you install fireplaces in your tiny homes? Absolutely. But we use a pivot fireplace. It's probably one of the smallest cast iron fireplace you can get on the market. I love my clients just rave about the pivot fireplaces. They're unbelievable. They're for us, we either install them through the wall, depending on the location where it's going in our tiny home. Like for instance, our Elliott model, the actual fireplace gets installed smack in the middle of the home on the bathroom wall. So the flue goes straight through the roof. It doesn't affect any of the lofts. Whereas, like say, our Jackson model, it actually goes through a wall and up, because we don't want the flue going through the loft above, so we've got to take it out through the wall and up. Now, just to be clear too, we actually use professional installers. We don't install the fireplaces ourselves. We use ticketed tradesmen to actually install the fireplaces, because you get one chance to get a fireplace install done properly. Otherwise, you could wake up dead. So it's just like you've got to get it right. So hence we use licensed contractors. They give us a license. They give us all the specs and all the stuff to show that they've actually installed it to meet the code, and so no one's going to die. But yeah, fireplaces, love them, very popular. Oh, you ready for this? They're sold out. End of July, we've just belted 3 or 4 in a couple of our homes, and all of a sudden, no more fireplaces in Australia till the end of July. So I don't know how we're going to work that, because I've got a couple I need to rush out also in about 3 weeks' time. So I don't know, I'm going to have to pull some strings. Might have to fly over to our mates in China, and see if we can get them a bit earlier. Actually, not done in China. I think they're done in, I don't know where they're done, but it's not China. But yeah, everyone loves the fireplaces. They go really well. Hey, listen, I'm done for today, man. Short and sharp. We got some pizza coming. So I've rattled on enough there today. Remember, if you've got any questions, build them in into us during the week. And we're going to just keep on keeping on. Hooroo.